Hey guys, I just finished sewing this whole basket of carrots and beautiful, bright, colorful eggs. I love these, and I wanted to share it with you as well as the pattern because they are so easy to make. I actually found it addicting. That's why I made the whole basket, and I wanted to share the pattern with you. This is nothing new and innovative, but with the Easter and spring season coming up, maybe you were looking for something like this. So if you were, check out this video, download the free printable pattern, and have fun. And seriously, let me know and comment below if you find these eggs as addicting as me to make. And what's really great is that these make a great scrap fabric project. So go through all of your scrap fabrics and let's go. Let's make them. Once you download the pattern and print it, there's only 3 pieces. So let's put together the carrot first. I've gone ahead and cut out the fabric for the carrot body, which is this adorable orange polka dot. And then I cut out 2 of the leaves out of just regular felt. You can cut out even more if you want. So what we're gonna do first is fold the carrot right sides together. And I don't pin it because it's such an easy sewing, and you can if you want. And what we're going to do is sew down this open end here. So this open side, we're going to sew down and backstitch on the ends. I'm going to use 1/4 inch seam allowance. Loving this tutorial? Please subscribe so you can stay up to date with all my latest videos. And I lightly trimmed the very point there. And now I'm going to turn it right side out. And I have my chopstick here to help me push out the point. I'm going to stuff it. So I'm going to begin with just a little bit for the very point there. I always use my fingers first to get it as far down as I can. Because if you start pressing it with something else, you're going to notice that, especially like the chopstick, it goes right through the stuffing. So use your finger first. There we go. Once that is nice and stuffed, I'm going to add more. And I'm only going to go halfway or close, maybe 3/4 of the way, and I'll show you why. So be careful it doesn't look bumpy like that. Unless you want it to look bumpy like that, because really it is an organic thing, and carrots can be bumpy like that. But I like to keep mine uniform for this part. Now that I have it about 3/4 of the way stuffed, what I'm going to do with a double threaded needle is I'm going to just fold over just a little hem. It doesn't have to be neat, all right? Just fold it over, and I'm going to sew a light stitch right through. And this is exactly what I mean. So as I'm folding, first I'm going to start my stitch under so that my knot hides there. I'm just going to stitch as I fold. So what I mean by a light stitch is kind of like a basting stitch. I fold over a little bit of the fabric, making sort of a hem, and I'm going to work my way all around as I keep going. Now, you can see I kind of stuffed my carrot a little too much, so you'll see the stuffing getting in the way. If that happens to you, just remove some of the stuffing. And when I get to the end, what I'm going to do is, and it doesn't have to be perfect up here. Remember, it is an organic food, so it's never perfect in nature. Before I pull it really tight, I'm going to add more stuffing because I want my carrot a bit firm, not too squishy. But if you want yours squishy, you know how much stuffing you want to add in there. I kind of test it first. And it's still a little loose up there, so I'm going to open it up. And then I am going to stuff more stuffing in there. Now, before you close it tight, you're going to put your leaves on, and I've cut these out. I'm using only 2 leaves. You can use more than 2 leaves. So I've just cut these out of felt, which I've mentioned before. Again, I'm only using 2. Sometimes I keep them the same way. Sometimes I switch the directions. I'm going to offset mine just a little like this. And then I'm going to stuff them in. So these flat or straight ends in. And I'm going to pull it tight. And it's pretty much easy from here. I'm just going to go through to make sure I ensure and I catch these leaves in there. And I'm just going to run it through in all different directions, catching all. And if there's stuffing there, we could pull it out later. Just going through all directions, making sure that I catch all of the leaves in there. And when I feel that the leaves are secure, you can give them a little tug. I'm going to do one more. What you're going to do is you're going to end it off. So on any end here, I'm going to grab some of the fabric, pull my thread, stick it through the loop, and I'm going to do it one more time. Stick my needle through the loop. I'm forming a knot, and then I cut it right off. Okay, so the leaves are on, and now how I get the look of my leaves is I just sort of give little snips in there, some shorter, some longer, all different sizes, because that's the way it is in nature with food. It just grows, and they're really not perfect. Okay, I'm going to do the same here. And then how I get the shape to them is I simply, oh, I'm sorry, was I out of the video there? I simply just pull, right? I pull, and the felt is just fabulous because it just forms this perfect shape. Just give it a little tug as you're holding the center of the leaf here. Just give it a tug, and it forms such a great little shape. You can even leave them without the pull, but I really like the look of this pull. And then you have your carrot. So you're going to maybe want to go ahead and make a bunch of these. And it's so easy. They're so easy and adorable. Okay, so moving on to the egg. So you're going to cut 4 of these out of fabric. So I'm just using this really pretty light pink right here. So since you're going to need 4, you're going to need 2 this way and 2 this way. So the best way to do this is to fold this in half, right sides together, and fold it in half one more time. Then I'm going to place the pattern right on top, and I'm going to trace it. You don't have to. You can pin right through and cut right around the pattern, but I love cutting traced fabric. So I'm going to hold my fabric very still and make sure it doesn't move. If you can't do that, definitely put a pin or 2 in there to hold it straight so it doesn't move. And I'm just going to cut this out. And now I'm going to show you how to sew it together. So with straight pins, what you're going to do is keep them exactly the way they are because they're actually in pairs and they're right sides together. So they're exactly the way we need them. I'm going to put 1 straight pin in each just to hold them still. And then I'm going to go over to my sewing machine and I'm going to do this to both of them. I'm going to sew with a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance from one side to the other side or one end to the other end. You don't really need to backstitch here. Same thing here. I'm just going to do a stitch right around this curve here. So now that I have these, I'm going to open just one of them, and I'm not going to pull too much because I did not backstitch on the ends. I'm just going to open one up and have it right sides facing out, and I'm going to put it inside of the other one. And I'm going to match it by the seams right up here. So I'm going to put a pin right into that seam to hold it right in place. And before I pin the sides, I'm going to pin the other seam right here. And then I'm going to add another pin on this side just to hold it in place. Look at me, 2 pins, and then I'm going to put another one right here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to the sewing machine with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm going to leave an opening enough for my fingers to get in there and stuff. So you can mark it if you want. I tend to remember, but just for these purposes here, I'll mark it for you, right? So I'm leaving a marking here and here. I know that's my opening, and I'm going to start from either marking, it doesn't matter which one, and I am going to do a back stitch, and I'm going to go all the way around, and I'm going to sew around the perimeter of this egg and back stitch at the other marking. Chop off a little bit of the top there so that the seam doesn't get too bulky. You can even trim the seam allowance, but I really don't find any difference if I do trim it or not. But if you do, you can give it a shot. And now what you're going to do is you're going to turn it right side out and, of course, stuff it. All right, here we go. Adorable egg, another one made. They do get addicting. I'm not going to lie. I've made a whole basket full, and I love this. So now just stuff up the egg and move it on from here. And now when you have your egg stuffed to the point you like, you're going to take a needle, and I'm using a single threaded needle, meaning I put the thread through the eye of the needle, and if I pull too hard, the thread will come out. So I'm going to remember not to do that. And I have a double knot on the end. So you can do a blind stitch for this, or you can just do a regular ladder stitch, whatever stitch you want. I don't mind my thread showing a little. So I'm going to start just from under here so I can hide the knot, and then I'm going to go back and forth just to close up this opening. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of each side, and again, I don't mind if my thread shows, but if you do, you'll definitely want to do a blind stitch, and in many of my other videos I walk you through that. And now I'm just going to close off this opening. That I've gotten to the end, what I'm going to do is do another end off stitch. I'll do a second one just to add that security in there. And then what I always do is I stick my needle through, out, anywhere through the egg. And then I cut the thread so that it ends up somewhere inside of the stuffing. And that's it. And what I do is I'm rolling this egg so it gives it a nice shape. So that is how you make these cute eggs. So how easy was that? The eggs and the carrots, it's so easy to put together, and they honestly look store-bought. So if you really love tutorials like this that are quick and easy, why don't you also check out the video right here up on the screen of how to make a stuffed plush burger. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope you really enjoyed this one.